What's up? How you feeling?
All right.
All right, good. Good.
How's your summer going, Geno?
My summer's actually flying right by, like it always does around this time, you know. Season ends and May is all downhill, and then kids are here for summer school in June, and July's a bunch of recruiting, and then we're back at practice August 7th for our trip. So it's my life.
Italy recently?
Yeah, I was there for a week. It's always a special place to go and get away, and I never hesitate to go back there whenever I can.
Geno, we were talking to Paige and Caroline and all the kids last week, and they were talking about how they used to go 110% in the summer, and after what's happened the last couple of years, they're now trying to be a little smarter about how they go. Have you talked to them at all about how hard to go in the off season, and are you doing anything differently to avoid injuries?
Well, the interesting thing is that we used to go a lot harder back in the day. So I don't know what it is about what's going on in the the world that these kids live in when they're in high school or whatever. But I can honestly say that every one of the kids that has been out for us came to us with an injury that led to the one they got from high school. So it wasn't like they came in here 100% and then all of a sudden something happened. Every one of them had an issue coming from high school and never got taken care of, or in some cases there was surgery involved. And then all of a sudden, because now all of a sudden it's the competition's better, they're trying to push themselves a little bit harder in the off season, and we only have them for the month of June. Most of the summer they're on their own. So all of our postseason, preseason, all of that work is individual and strength and conditioning, injury prevention stuff, exercises. That's basically all you do during this time of the year. You're doing individual work and trying to get better, and you're trying to prevent anything from happening the best you can. And so for how many years, like forever, we wouldn't win all those championships if we didn't know what we were doing. But we've had to change what we do drastically because the kids that we're getting coming out of high school are damaged. And sometimes they know it and tell us, and sometimes they know it and don't tell us, and sometimes they don't even know it. And then when they get here and we go through all the testing and everything we do, so then it's just a matter of we got to work really, really hard with this kid to make sure that what we think could happen doesn't happen. And a lot of times we're successful, and sometimes we're not.
What do you think the potential of this team could be? With those guys healthy and bringing in the new pieces that you guys have, and what has stood out from what you've seen in workouts so far in regards to that?
I would say, back to how healthy everybody is. Other than Ayana, who just had a procedure done on her knee, and it's kind of reminiscent what Morgan Tuck had years ago. Other than that, and Amari's situation has been kind of ongoing, for over a year now. This is probably the best that we've been in quite some time. What we envisioned, when we put these recruiting classes together was, a senior class or a junior and senior class of these last 2 years of, Aaliyah Edwards and Nika and Paige and then, right behind them, Caroline and AZ and, and then right behind them, Ice and, these other guys that, and then Jenna and all the, and you're thinking, wow, we're really set up really, really good. And then none of it happened. And it's remarkable that we ended up getting where we've gotten. So when you think about it, if we are fortunate enough to have everybody all season long, I couldn't even tell you what's the potential, because I haven't seen it. And we haven't done enough as a team to kind of have seen it at this point. I would hope that by, obviously when we get back from our trip, we'll have a much better idea of what we're dealing with. But if you just go by how committed they are right now, and the intensity level and the energy level and just the vibe that's going through the building, it's at a different level than it has been the last couple of years. We just talked about it today. The thing I learned a long time ago and actually it was from Svetlana, is stop talking about what you're going to do. Stop talking about what you hope happens and what happened last year and how you felt. Okay, now that you put that out there, that's it. It's over. It's done with. Everybody knows, hey, what's your goal at Connecticut? What do you think it is at Connecticut? The goal is to win a national championship every year. Everybody knows it. You don't have to talk about it. And we just had that discussion this morning. It's more important what we see every day, not what we hear. And this isn't a 1970s rock band, out for their, 60th tour, and they have to give every tour a name. Everybody's got a Redeem team, and everybody's got Reload team, and everybody's got, Unfinished Business team, and everybody's got, all this stuff going out there. Maybe we're not very social media savvy. I bet we just shut the fuck up and win games. I bet we just do that.
What's it been like?
Maybe that's what the tour should be. Shut the fuck up and win games.
What's it been like to see Paige get so close to coming back?
I just keep my fingers crossed all the time. Last year, in August, when Paige got hurt, she had never been that good in her life. And that's one of the things I'm talking about. Paige had an issue with her ankle in high school, and it never really got taken care of. And then we're working on and whatever. And this is the best she's ever been, the strongest she's ever been, the fittest she's ever been. This is the most time she has spent working on her body, her mind, just taking care of herself. And usually a lot of this stuff for these kids doesn't happen until they get to the pros, because they're not mature enough to understand what this means. Usually when they're in college, it's... So, when I eat pizza at 11 and, I have a couple beers on the weekends, I still play like I'm an All-American. So what's the problem with that? So I think she's way ahead of, and maybe that's what the year off did. It showed her, if you want a long career, this is how you're going to have to go about it from here on in. Injuries, no injuries, it doesn't matter. This is what you're going to have to do. And she's embraced it, and I've never seen her better, either as playing 1-on-1, 2-on-2, or 3-on-3, what she's doing in the weight room, just her whole walk, the way she walks around, the way everybody looks up to her, and the way everybody hangs on every word she says. There's just a maturity about her. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying here that, we've reached a point where, we're going to say that all of a sudden Paige is a 30-year-old who just got back from meeting with the Dalai Lama and she's got the whole world figured out, She's still a kid trying to figure it out. but she's got it figured out as best as it can be figured out by a kid her age, having gone through what she's gone through.
Geno, what was the Italian saying that you embraced last year? It is what it is.
Oh, it is what it is.
But
Yeah,
what was
just
it
got
in
back there.
What was it in Italian?
It's Perché così.
That's right.
Perché così. So when people ask, like, that's the best answer I could ever come up with. You know, why did this happen? Because that's what it is, man. Like, there's some things we can control and there's some things we can't. And because we've been so good at controlling all the things that we can control all these years, we forget how many things are out of our control until they smack you in the face.
Is that something you'll be able to continue to lean into as a way to keep yourself?
Yeah, there's just a limit to how long you can kind of like keep a happy face in the middle of all this, right? And when you think about some of the kids on our team, they started their career with COVID. So it already got off to a bad start, right? I don't go to class, and nobody comes to the games. And it's like unlike anything that's happened in the last 100 years. So it started that way. And then the injuries pile up, and then, you know, we're in the Final Four and we lose. We're in the national championship game and we lose. And I mean, how many different things, you know, can a group of kids in some ways have to deal with? So after these last couple of years, it's like we're cautiously optimistic.